Hey everybody, Neo Prepper here. I have the beginnings of a big worm farm. So much for the worm buckets. You can't do enough with those things unless you just want to go fishing. Yes, I'm missing 2 blocks. That's because they're sitting on holding a tarp down over my kayaks. But anyway, this is 44 blocks, I believe. And then down here you'll see hardware mesh. I think you can see it on here. I'm not sure. Should be able to. That's to keep the moles and voles and whatever other critters you got laying around that try and dig up under, because they will eat their weight in worms every day. And that's Daisy. She won't eat any worms, but she enjoys things. But anyway, this is let's see, the external dimensions is 12 feet. That should mean it's about 10'8", I think, in the middle, down the center, and it's about what, 3 feet wide, something like that. That means there's about 300 square feet, which means I can put about 30,000 worms in here. And we're going to use, I think we're going to do the red wigglers in this one. Hopefully my hand wasn't over it. Anyway, like I said, there's enough room here for about 3,000 worms. I'm going to put red wigglers in here. They're a composting worm, and the Eosinea fetida or something like that, the Latin name. Anyway, after a ton and tons of research, I found that they're the easiest to raise, and they make pretty good castings, which is great fertilizer, as we were talking about last year with my little bucket system. Only this time I want to make enough castings to start doing like my yard, my garden, and really help things out. This is completely under shade all day long. I get this kind of shade. It's kind of mostly shade, but it's a little broken. In the afternoon I'll get just a little bit of heat at one end. It's around 4 o'clock right now, and I'm starting to get just a little sun on that end. But this is the most central position that I could find to keep the worms under shade. And we need to keep them under about 90 degrees. Anything over about 85 and they'll stop producing. They may even start dying. So anyway, kind of cool. And like I said, there's about enough room in here for, I think it's about 1,000 worms per square foot, and you go by surface area. And like I said, it's 10 by 3, so 30 square feet, so 30,000 worms, give or take. I may put a divider in here too, and leave one half as what's called a breeder bed, where you have all adults, and you harvest it more often, about once a month, I think. It might be every 2 weeks. And what you do is you take the cocoons, which is the worm eggs, right? You harvest those, and of course any castings that might already be there, and then you just throw your breeders right back into the same bin. Put some more food in there, let them go crazy, and then you take the other half over here, right, or the other portion of your bed, and this is an incubator / growing bed, and so you put your cocoons in there, you allow them to hatch. You'll have a lot of baby worms in here that will eventually grow up, and you just keep doing that. So you can take a couple of thousand worms, so if you want to start with that few, and keep harvesting them every 2 weeks and getting the cocoons, putting the cocoons over here, and it's a very rapid way of breeding up a lot more worms. Each cocoon will give you somewhere between 4 and up to about 20 red wigglers. So even if you're only getting 4 on average, each one of them will put out, I think it's 2 cocoons every 2 weeks, or 2 cocoons a week. I can't remember which. 2 every 2 weeks, I think. So each worm, 8 worms, 1,000 worms doing it, 8,000 worms. You get the idea. It starts to compound rapidly. It's kind of like the miracle of compounding interest, only this time it's worms. And then of course the castings, what we're going to do is we're going to use almost entirely horse manure in this. Probably some cardboard and some shredded newspaper, but mostly horse manure. I have a couple of places I know that I can get it, and it's already been sitting out in the rain and everything, so it's already somewhat composted to begin with. You put it in with the worms. You can use composted or even hot horse manure. You just layer it on thinly if it's hot, and you only want to do, like, you'll feed one half of the bin at a time. So if the manure does get hot, the worms can go to the other side and get out of it until it's finished, and then they can come back in and they'll eat. Really cool. I'm in Florida, so a lot of the guys were sinking these things, a full cinder block depth. They lived up north, so they're trying to get some area where it'll be a little bit insulated from the freezing. I don't get much of a freeze here. The worst that we get's a few hours of freeze, and by the time I fill these with sand and put some, the top I'm going to put over the top of this is going to be, I'm going to make a wafer basically of plywood, and then some insulation board, the foam board. I think it's like an R5 or something like that, maybe R7, I can't remember. And then you put another piece of plywood over the top. It serves two functions, three actually. Keeps the heat out, keeps the cold out, and because of the plywood, it'll help keep some of the other critters out, keep them from digging in, like rats or raccoons or anything like that. Not that they couldn't get in, but there's a lot of other things for them to eat besides this. So anyway, I just thought I would share this with you. I can't hardly wait to get it going, and when I do, of course I'll be making some subsequent videos on this. But it should be really cool. I can't wait to get it going. The next step, I'm going to do another one of these, I believe, on the other end of my yard, and I'm going to try to breed a worm called an Alabama jumper, and they're really more of a not so much a composting worm as an actual tiller. They actually till the soil. They like to actually dig in, but they unlike a Canadian nightcrawler, which likes to dig burrows straight down up to about 6 feet deep or so. The Alabama jumpers tend to go, horizontally like this instead of vertically, and at about 6 to 8 inches deep. So they love flower beds and stuff like this. So I'm kind of thinking this very much resembles a flower bed. And they are amazing worms. They have a little more of an armor to their skin. My dad has some that he just happened to find, and I was playing with them a couple of days ago, and they are absolutely amazing. I was holding them in my hand, and they're pushing through between my fingers. They're just really, really, really strong. And for sandy soil or clay, soil with a lot of clay, they actually like that soil because it's what they like to do. They just like to till through stuff. So I've read that if I take cold horse manure, especially the pellets, their chunks not already all broken down, that they actually like to push through those things because it kind of resembles clay or hard soil. So I'm going to attempt to breed those and grow those for a couple of reasons. A, awesome in the soil, especially here in Florida. I think I can sell that to some organic gardeners, and they're great for actual vegetable gardens. The red wigglers and the European night crawlers and even the African night crawlers, they're not soil worms. They don't improve your soil unless they die and rot in there. They like to live mostly on the surface, and they don't really dig very well. However, the jumpers actually do, so I think there might be a good market there to sell them down this way in the southeast, because I've also noticed that online there's always seems to be people running out of them, and that usually means there's a demand and there's not enough people growing them. But also, with my garden, sorry about that, with my garden that I've got going over there, the raised gardens and that sort of stuff, and a lot of people are doing that, but they have crummy soil, and so all they have to do is mix in some cow manure. You can buy that at Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. You can get steer manure, you can get black cow, mostly sand actually, but you could even use that, and they'll at least have something to eat, and they'll till through the soil and do their thing and reproduce and just go crazy. So kind of cool. I'm going to try and create a little what do they call it, a cottage industry here at my house. I think it'll be fun. If I can find somebody to buy them, great. They're also, the Alabama jumpers are supposed to be the best bait worm you can possibly buy because of their thicker skin. They stay on the hooks a lot better, and because they just wiggle and they literally jump. They are totally amazing. So they're really, really active on a hook, and I believe it's the jumpers. They're even they'll even survive in brackish water, so you can fish in brackish water with them. So of course in Florida that's actually a good thing. Get your cane pole, So anyway, that is my project. I will update it as I go, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll show you the finished product here in a week or two when I get everything in and and going. We're going to put like I said, we're going to use horse manure. I'm going to use some sprinklers in here, like misters, so that I can mist the bed, I don't know, every few days and keep it just moist enough. I've got drainage through the sand here underneath it. That's the reason I did it right on the ground. I didn't want to have to mess with floods and flooding and all that crap. That's just too much to worry about, especially with the down here in Florida. I don't have basements and I don't have that kind of stuff to put worms in, so we have to work with what we've got, and I'm trying to do this on the cheap. So far I've got about $56 or something like that in concrete blocks wrapped up in this project. Anyway, hope you've all enjoyed it. God bless, and God bless America, and Neo Prepper out.